astrology has been making a huge splash in mainstream culture recently, especially my generation. And though, honestly, I rarely use astrology myself, I think this is great. I mean, for all the people out there shitting on it, come on, y'all. There's nothing wrong with people exploring the relationship to the universe that they live in, as long as it doesn't create unproductive repercussions in their life as a byproduct. And that's what I'm concerned with. I think that some of the attitudes we hold towards astrology is actually working against our own best interests in many ways. So in this short video, I'm going to do 3 things. First, I'm going to give you my take as to whether I think astrology is quote-unquote true or not. Second, I'm going to explain my view as to the 2 fundamental problems with astrology and why I think they actually impede our own spiritual progress. And then third, I'm going to give you a basic life philosophy that both includes and transcends astrological charts. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Ethan Hill. I'm an international yoga teacher, writer, entrepreneur, helping seekers like yourself adjust to the new earth. Let's get started. First things first, and this is critical, we've got to define what we mean by astrology. Like, I'm sure so many people have different ideas as to what it is and isn't, so for this particular case, let's just use Google's definition. It says, astrology is the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world. Under that definition, astrology is very, very real. I mean, of course, celestial bodies have an influence on human affairs. When it's summertime, i.e. when the sun, which is a celestial body, right, is physically closer to us, studies show that we're in a better mood. We have more sex, we have boosted energy, we sleep less, all of which surely impact our personality and thus human affairs. Or the fact that the moon, another celestial body, affects the ocean tides and literally affects what hormones are flowing through your body at any given time. Or that more car accidents and heart attacks happen on full moons than almost any other time of month. So if the sun and the moon both affect your physiology and behavior, then it's not too crazy to suggest that other planets, other celestial bodies like Jupiter or Uranus, might also have some sort of tangible effect on you. In fact, just between you and me, I had some astrologers blow my fucking mind with how much they could tell me about my present circumstances, life challenges, simply based on the fact that my natal Saturn is in Aries in the 10th house. So yeah, for me, case closed. Astrology as defined by Google is true, and I've got no problem with it. But I do take some issue with how astrology is being used in modern society. And those issues can really be boiled down to 2 main points. First point, thinking that you know someone or judging them simply based on their astrology chart. And second point, bypassing your responsibility for decisions that you made simply based on what's happening in the skies. But the first point, I can't tell you how many times I've told someone, oh yeah, I'm a Sagittarius sun, Cancer rising, Libra moon, and they go, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then stop asking questions about me. Y'all, come on now. Astrology should be the very beginning of a conversation, not the end. Like believing that you know someone based on just a few measly data points from their astrological chart is like saying that you know someone based on what their favorite food was when they were 7, right? It's interesting, it's cool, it might tell you something, but it's not the whole story. In fact, I would argue that it's impossible to fully capture someone's being or essence based merely on words or symbols or systems. I mean, how could simple noises like extrovert or a 5-2 in human design or Chiron in my 4th house ever get to someone's true essence? Or even more potentially dangerous is when I hear self-proclaimed spiritual people say things like, I hate Pisces men, or all Gemini women are crazy. You hate Pisces men? All Gemini women are crazy? In its purest form, astrology is not meant to be a tool for judgment or confirmation bias, right? It's supposed to be a tool for appreciation, for recognizing just how beautiful and unique we all are, not how predictable and stereotypical we can be. Okay, now for my second problem with today's astrology usage. Take these 2 sentences. I acted that way because Mars is in retrograde. Or, I am the way I am because my South Node is in the 10th house. You sense the problem here. It's that pesky word because. Look, maybe it's true. Maybe you are feeling anxious or depressed or existential because Pluto is finally entering Aquarius. But that fact is not a get-out-of-jail-free card to act unconsciously or treat others poorly. Using astrology as a scapegoat for your actions is just religion masked as spirituality. Like, the way I see it, there is no serious philosophical difference between saying something like, I told them to eat shit because I'm emotional for my Saturn return, versus, I killed the non-believers because the king told me to do so. No, you told them to eat shit and you killed the non-believers because you're reacting unskillfully to impermanent sensations cropping up in the body, not because you had no available agency. Turns out astrology is a super sensitive topic for people, so let me try a different angle so I can really drive my point home. There are an infinite number of ways to explain away your less than kind actions. Maybe it is because your Mars is squaring Pluto. Or maybe it's because your blood sugar is low. Or maybe it's because you were dropped on your head as a baby. Or maybe it's because AI is already controlling your mind. Again, there are an infinite number of ways that you can shift responsibility away from yourself and onto other agents. But here's the problem with doing that. It's not going to liberate your mind from its self-conceived prison. In fact, just identifying with any kind of story is actually just going to lock you in an even tighter box. Now, if you want true freedom, then you're going to need to start taking responsibility for your life. Not necessarily fault, that's an entirely different thing, but if you want to be free, honestly free, then everything that happens to you has got to be your responsibility, and that includes whatever's happening in the heavens. Okay, final point. I'm going to give you a different lens from which to view astrology. You take it or leave it. Maybe there's a higher order to the cosmos. In reality, celestial bodies don't cause or influence your behavior. Maybe they reflect your state of consciousness. Here's what the scientists, clergymen, and yogis can all agree upon, right? You and I are not separate from the moons, planets, or stars. In any thought that we are, any idea in our mind that says that we act or exist independently of the universe is effectively the same thing as saying we are separate from all that is, all that was, or all that will ever be. But, and here's the kicker for all of astrology, the mere thought that you are the way you are because of what Jupiter is doing automatically implies separation. It says, yeah, Jupiter's way over there, floating alone in some infinite space void, but me, I'm over here, existing in my own isolated bubble. And sure, occasionally some waves of information ripple out of Jupiter's big, beautiful belly and drift my way, in turn manipulating how I respond to the world, but for the most part, we are autonomous. We're separate. But if there's anything that we learn from metaphysics, woo-woo school 101, it's this. Space in distance, i.e. from me over to Jupiter, emerges from a greater reality. Space is not the fundamental thing. It exists from a more fundamental field, a field in which we're all unfathomably connected. So again, maybe celestial bodies aren't causing your behavior like billiard balls bouncing off one another, but rather, maybe moons, planets, and stars are linked up to the same universal clock that you and I are linked up to, such that every thought that you have is in some way mirroring what's happening on larger and larger scales. And this isn't as crazy or out there as it sounds. After all, aren't you just a reflection of trillions of cells that make up your physical body? Maybe the celestial bodies operate in the exact same way. Maybe you are just a cell in the greater body that is the solar system. Let me bring all this home and make myself abundantly clear, right? I'm not bringing this up to shit on wannabe astrologers. Quite the opposite. Like, if you're into astrology, keep going, keep sharing it, keep learning, keep reflecting back to your friends the ways that they can be, right? The world needs you to follow what you're most excited and passionate about. No, I'm bringing up this topic as just a public service announcement to everyone that's coming through the spiritual pipeline. Astrology is not the truth, just as religion is not the truth. just as science is not the truth, just as the words that I'm speaking are not the truth. Words and symbols and systems are merely pattern recognition devices so that you and I can make sense of this incredibly rich universe that we live in and then be inspired to live differently. Desperately trying to boil down life into these easy to comprehend buckets, which is honestly what most scientists, priests, and frankly, all of us are guilty of doing. This seems like a necessary strategy for navigating life. But if we get too attached to dividing up existence, well, then we'll forget the beautiful fact that we as finite human intelligences are never going to get to the bottom of this thing that we call life. So instead, maybe we just take a break from trying to box life up and put each other into these really neatly defined categories of astrological charts, Myers-Briggs personalities, or saved versus damned, and just enjoy the miraculous fact that all of us, you, me, whoever them is, are all infinitely complex. We have endless stories and wisdom to share and perspectives to contemplate. Hey, if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to my weekly Body, Mind, Soul newsletter. It's a popular email that I send out each and every Sunday morning where I give you suggestions for how to make the most out of your body, practical advice on navigating life's challenges, quotes from history's greatest teachers, and my upcoming yoga classes and workshops. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, thank you for your attention. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. Those things are extremely valuable to me. Make sure you check out this next video that I've got coming up, and I will see you soon. Peace.